Gather round, folks. Let's rewind to the 80s and 90s, the golden age of martial arts movies. Heroes didn't need CGI, just a headband, some grit, and a killer roundhouse kick. You'd pop in a VHS, and suddenly your living room was a secret dojo or a Hong Kong tournament. These legends weren't just actors, they were rock stars, their fists, their guitars. Watching these movies was an event. You felt every split, every yell, every epic kick. Decades later, they're still iconic, timeless, like a classic rock album. So grab your foam nunchucks and get ready. This is going to be righteous. Sure, the fights were awesome, but these movies had heart. They taught us about honor, discipline, and finding your inner strength. Every hero had a wise master, dropping lines like, "The best fight is the one you avoid." Villains were over the top, pushing heroes to their limits and making every showdown a battle for the soul. After the credits, you didn't just feel pumped, you felt inspired to be better. Practicing moves in the backyard wasn't just about looking cool, it was about becoming your own hero. These movies were spiritual in a totally kick-butt way. Today's movies have wild effects, but we keep coming back to these classics because the action was real. Jackie Chan leaping off buildings, no green screen, just pure skill. You felt every punch, every comeback, every drop of sweat. Nostalgia's huge. These films are the soundtrack to our childhoods, full of wonder and excitement. Their themes are timeless, underdogs rising, facing fears, and the power of the human spirit. Whether on VHS or 4K, the story of a hero fighting with honor never gets old. That's why these movies will always rule. The 80s gave us heroes who were one-man armies, demigods in denim and mullets. Van Damme wasn't just a fighter, he was a legend. Motivation was simple. Justice, honor, and a righteous quest. The action was wild. Every punch a firecracker, every kick defying physics, all in glorious slow motion. These heroes stood for something. The underdog who trained hard, the quiet warrior who let actions speak. No capes needed, just a cause, a killer soundtrack, and the splits between two chairs. That's how legends are made. Let's talk about the sacred training montage, the soul of every martial arts movie. It's where the hero transforms, set to a rock anthem that makes you want to run up a mountain. Creative training. Painting fences, waxing cars, kicking banana trees, and doing the splits in wild places. You saw struggle, growth, and finally triumph, all in 3 minutes. The montage built anticipation for the final showdown and made you believe the hero could win. It was the emotional core, inspiring you to try 1,000 push-ups, even if you only managed 10. It's the spirit that counts. A hero's only as good as their villain, and the 80s had the best, cheesy, evil, and unforgettable. These guys had wild hair, evil laughs, and zero sportsmanship. They fought dirty, taunted the hero, and made every fight personal. Think Chong Li from Terrifying, Arrogant, and The Perfect Foil. Their defeat was more than a win, it was a victory for every underdog. These villains were so easy to hate, rooting for the hero was effortless. Long live the gloriously cheesy 80s villain. Buckle up, my righteous rockin' warriors. The 90s were about speed, style, and acrobatic insanity. The action got faster, the choreography more complex. Heroes didn't just walk into a room, they flipped and slid, using anything as a weapon. It was a beautifully violent ballet, shifting from brute strength to agility. The sequences were longer, more intricate, a visual feast of fluid motion. The heroes had more flash and personality. This new breed was athletic, combining martial arts with acrobatics. It was a leap into a new kind of cool. The masters from the East came west, and nothing was ever the same again. Leading the charge was Jackie Chan. With movies like Rumble in the Bronx, he became a household name. Then you had Jet Li. He brought poetic precision to his fight scenes. Together, they showcased the incredible diversity and artistry of Hong Kong cinema to a massive new audience. This global invasion was one of the best things to ever happen to action movies. As the 90s rolled on, something else started to change. It wasn't just the performers, it was the technology behind the camera. Filmmakers started to get more creative with how they shot the action. One of the biggest game changers was the popularization of wire fu. This is where stunt performers are attached to hidden wires, allowing them to perform superhuman feats. They could leap higher, hang in the air longer, and basically defy gravity. This technique, which had been used in Hong Kong for years, started to blend with Western filmmaking, creating a totally new visual language for action. This new style allowed for action that was more fantastical and mythic. Think of movies like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, which came at the very end of the decade. The characters ran up walls, they flew across treetops, they battled on the thinnest bamboo branches. It was pure poetry in motion. This wasn't the gritty, grounded fighting of the 80s. This was martial arts as a magical art form, a physical expression of a spiritual world. Wire Fu opened up a whole new toolbox for directors to create scenes that were literally the stuff of dreams, or epic ancient legends. And then, at the tail end of the 90s, one movie came along and changed everything. Forever. You know what I'm talking about. The Matrix. Whoa. It took the high-flying wire fu of Hong Kong cinema, mashed it up with cyberpunk sci-fi, Japanese anime, and philosophical questions, and then wrapped it all up in a slick, black leather trench coat. It introduced the world to bullet time, that insane slow-motion effect, where the camera seems to move around a frozen moment. It was the ultimate fusion of Eastern choreography and Western technology, and it completely rewrote the rules. The Matrix was the culmination of everything the 90s had been building towards. It showed that martial arts could be seamlessly integrated with cutting-edge special effects to create something entirely new. After The Matrix, every action movie had to have a Matrix moment. The influence was insane. The 90s started with an evolution in physical performance and ended with a technological revolution. It was a decade that pushed the boundaries of what was possible, taking the martial arts genre from the streets of the Bronx to the digital reign of a simulated reality. It was a wild, innovative ride, man. Alright, let's talk about the moments, the scenes, the single, perfect, mind-blowing shots that are burned into our brains forever. These aren't just movie scenes, man. They are sacred relics of cinematic history. Every great martial arts flick has at least one. It's that moment where you and your buddies, sitting on the couch with a giant bowl of popcorn, all go completely silent. Jaws on the floor, eyes wide. It's the moment that makes you lean over and whisper, "Whoa! Did you see that?" It's pure distilled awesomeness, captured on film for all eternity. These are the moments that made us true believers. Think about Van Damme in Bloodsport. You know the scene I'm talking about, the final fight against the monstrous Chong Li. He gets blinded. Oh no, it looks like it's all over for our hero, Frank Dux. But then, he reaches back, he remembers his training with his master, he fights blind, using his other senses. He does that insane, spinning helicopter kick. The crowd goes wild. We went wild. It was the ultimate comeback story packed into one perfect, slow-motion sequence of righteous fury. It was a moment of pure, fist-pumping triumph that defined a generation of action. How about Jackie Chan in Police Story? Dude, the whole movie is a highlight reel, but that finale in the shopping mall, it's legendary. He's fighting his way down multiple escalators, smashing through glass displays, and then the pole slide. He leaps from the top floor, grabs onto a pole covered in decorative lights, and slides all the way down through a glass ceiling with sparks flying everywhere. That wasn't a stuntman. That was Jackie. You can feel the danger. You can feel the voltage. It's a moment of such breathtaking audacity that it still makes my palms sweat just thinking about it. And we can't forget the quieter, but equally powerful moments. Like in The Karate Kid, when Mr. Miyagi uses his healing hands on Daniel San's injured leg. Or the first time you see the bride in Kill Bill, a righteous homage to these classics, slice her way through the crazy 88. These moments are the emotional peaks of the mountain. They are the reason we watch. They are the payoff for all the training, all the struggle. They are the explosive, beautiful, and sometimes surprisingly emotional scenes that elevate these movies from just fights into unforgettable cinematic experiences that still give us goosebumps today. Okay, so the action was epic. But you know what else these movies gave us? A whole dictionary of killer quotes. These weren't just lines of dialogue, man. They were battle cries. They were words of wisdom. They were hilarious taunts that we immediately started using in our everyday lives. You could be in the middle of a video game or just messing around with your friends in the backyard, and you'd drop one of these golden nuggets and feel like a total martial arts master. These quotes are as much a part of the legacy as the flying kicks and the training montages. The all-time champion has to be from Bloodsport. The villain, Chong Li, points at Frank Dux and screams, "You are next." Chills, man. Literal chills. It's so simple, so menacing, so perfect. It's the kind of line you yell at your buddy when it's their turn in a board game, or think about the wisdom of Mr. Rat Miyagi. Wax on, wax off. Two simple phrases that mean so much more. It's about patience, discipline, and finding the lesson in everyday tasks. It's so iconic that people who have never even seen The Karate Kid know what it means. That's the power of a truly great movie quote. And the bad guys always had the most arrogant, most quotable lines right before they got their butts handed to them. Lines like, "My style is far superior," or "Your kung fu is weak." They were so full of themselves. It was awesome. It made their eventual defeat that much sweeter. These quotes weren't just filler. They helped build the characters. They told you everything you needed to know about the hero's honor or the villain's ego. They were verbal sparring that set the stage for the physical showdown, adding another layer of fun and personality to the whole experience. Even today, on May 24th, 2024, these lines are part of our pop culture language. When someone says, "Finish him," you don't just think of the video game. You think of all the epic final blows in these movies. When you hear, "Show me," you might think of Cuba Gooding Jr., but a true warrior thinks of Frank Dux getting ready to do the dim mak. These quotes are timeless. They're fun, they're memorable, and they instantly transport us back to that magical time. They are the secret verbal handshake for everyone who grew up loving these movies. They are our code. Let's be real. After watching one of these movies, you couldn't just sit still. Your body was buzzing with pure energy. You had to go outside, you had to find your friends, and the playground, or your backyard, was no longer just a playground. It transformed. It became the kumite. It became the Shaolin Temple. It became the arena for the ultimate showdown. We didn't just play tag anymore. We played. We played. These movies didn't just entertain us, they fueled our imaginations and directed our playtime for years. Every kid had their signature move. One friend was the expert at the slow-motion no as he fell in defeat. Another had perfected the crane kick, even if it meant he usually fell over right after. I was always a fan of the dramatic forward roll into a hi-ya pose. We'd have epic, imaginary battles that lasted for hours. We'd create our own elaborate backstories. "You defeated my master, so now you must face me." We'd shout, trying our best to sound like a badly dubbed hero. We weren't just kids playing. We were actors, stuntmen, and choreographers, all rolled into one. And merchandising. Oh man, the toys were a huge part of it. We all had those plastic nunchucks that were connected by a string, and we'd whip them around, accidentally hitting ourselves in the head more often than not. We had plastic ninja swords, throwing stars that would just kind of plop on the ground, and action figures of our favorite heroes and villains. These weren't just toys, they were props for our real-life movie adventures. They were the sacred artifacts that helped us bring the world of the screen into the reality of our neighborhood. It was a golden age of imaginative play. This is maybe the most important impact these movies had. They got us moving. They got us outside. They encouraged us to be creative and to play together. In a world before every kid had a phone, these movies were our social network. They gave us a shared world to inhabit, a common language of spin kicks and heroic poses. They taught us about honor and friendship through our games. They shaped our childhoods in a profound way, leaving us with fond memories of epic backyard battles and the unbreakable belief that with enough practice, we could all be heroes. Let's peek into the secret dojo of filmmaking. You ever watch a fight scene and think, "Whoa, that looked like it really hurt"? Well, a lot of the time, it totally did. One of the craziest stories comes from the set of Jean-Claude Van Damme. The story goes, they literally forced his legs apart to get that perfect, agonizing shot. Think about Jackie Chan. That dude's medical record is probably longer than the script for a movie. He dislocated his pelvis and burned his hands so badly. The great Bruce Lee was so fast that they had to film him at a higher frame rate. During one fight scene, he accidentally caught a co-star, Bob Wall, with a kick that sent him flying into the crowd. The extras who caught him broke their arms. So next time you watch, remember the secret ingredient: a little bit of real pain. Sometimes the most epic moments in these movies weren't even in the script, they were happy accidents, very. In Rumble in the Bronx, Jackie Chan brilliantly uses a refrigerator as a shield. Another wild story comes from the set of Kickboxer. Jean-Claude Van Damme starts doing the splits and fighting off some bad guys in a bar. These unscripted moments add so much to the legend of these films. It's just pure, unfiltered talent shining through. Beyond the pain and the improvised genius, there's also a ton of old school movie magic and hilarious behind the scenes trivia that makes these films even more special. For instance, have you ever noticed how many times the same actors pop up as different thugs in the same movie? Especially in those classic Hong Kong flicks. They'd have a small pool of talented stuntmen. So a guy who got spectacularly kicked through a window in one scene might show up 20 minutes later wearing a fake mustache, ready to get knocked out all over again. It's like a fun game of spot the stuntman. Let's talk sound effects. The bone-crunching, flesh-thwacking sounds of the punches and kicks are so iconic, right? Well, they weren't recorded by actually punching people. The Foley artists, the wizards of sound, used some crazy techniques to get those noises. They'd smack frozen chickens with baseball bats, snap celery stalks in half, and whip leather belts to create that perfect, wince-inducing thwack. It was a symphony of violence created with vegetables and poultry. So when you hear a bone break, you might actually be hearing a piece of celery meeting its untimely end. Deliciously brutal. And what about those cheesy but awesome English dubs? For many of us, that's how we first experienced these Hong Kong masterpieces. The voices rarely matched the actors' lips, and the translations were often hilariously literal. Lines like, "My kung fu is the best," were delivered with a strange over-the-top seriousness that just added to the charm. It created a unique viewing experience, a sort of weirdly endearing, slightly surreal vibe that is pure nostalgia for anyone who grew up renting these tapes from the local video store. The bad dubs weren't a flaw, they were a feature. All these little details, the reused stuntmen, the celery sound effects, the goofy dubbing, are part of the tapestry. They are the stitches that hold these beloved classics together. They remind us that these movies were made by creative, passionate people working with whatever they had to make something totally awesome. It wasn't about perfection. It was about energy, fun, and creating a spectacle. These tidbits don't ruin the magic. They enhance it, giving us a deeper appreciation for the heart and ingenuity that went into making the movies that still kick so much butt today. We've journeyed back in time, revisiting training montages, high kicks, and final showdowns. From denim-clad heroes to Hong Kong acrobats, these movies are the undisputed champions of cool. It's the raw talent, cheesy stories, and pure entertainment. Their electrifying spirit never goes out of style. They have a swagger modern movies lack, unafraid to be silly and awesome. True cool is about authenticity. Their reign as champions of cool will never end. These movies didn't just fade to black when the credits rolled. Their spirit, their style, their very DNA has echoed through the halls of Hollywood ever since. Every time you see a modern superhero do a slick choreographed fight scene, you're seeing the legacy of Jackie Chan's inventiveness and Jet Li's grace. The intricate dance of combat that we now take for granted in big-budget blockbusters was perfected in the dojos of 80s and 90s Hong Kong cinema. The influence goes beyond just the fights. The John Wick series is a direct love letter to the golden age of martial arts cinema. You see the influence in video games and animation. These films created a visual language that have become fundamental parts of global pop culture. They taught a generation of creators how to frame a fight, how to build a hero, and how to make an audience cheer. They created a genre, a style, and a philosophy of action filmmaking that continues to inspire and entertain. Why do we hold these movies so close? They connect with something deep inside us. In a world that can be complicated, these films gave us stories that were simple and righteous. They are a time capsule of our youth. Watching them again is like flipping through an old photo album. Beyond the nostalgia, there's the pure joy of it all. These movies are just plain fun. They are a celebration of human potential. They inspired us to be better. They sparked our imaginations. They were a call to action, a call to be the hero of our own story. So, here we are, at the end of our epic journey. We've looked back, we've geeked out, and we've confirmed what we knew all along. 80s and 90s martial arts movies are timeless legends. They are like a secret technique passed down through generations, as powerful and as awesome today as they were decades ago. They stand as monuments of a different era of filmmaking, an era of raw physicality, practical stunts, and pure, unadulterated heart. They are a testament to the idea that you don't need $1 billion budget to create something that lasts forever. You just need a righteous cause and some serious skills. The world may have changed. We have smartphones and streaming services and AI that can write an essay. But the human need for stories of heroism, honor, and triumph is eternal. We will always need heroes who show us how to face our fears. We will always need to see the bully get what's coming to them. We will always need that inspiring training montage set to a killer rock song to get us pumped up. These movies provide that in its purest, most entertaining form. They are a cinematic power-up, ready to be activated whenever you need a dose of awesome. So, what's the final verdict? The final move in this epic combo? It's that these movies are more than just nostalgia. They are a vital part of film history, a genre that has influenced everything that came after it. They are a source of pure joy and inspiration. They are a reminder to take risks, to be creative, and to put your whole heart into what you do. They are a celebration of the human spirit's ability to fly, both literally and figuratively. They are a gift that keeps on giving, a treasure trove of action and adventure that we can revisit anytime we want. So I say to you, my fellow warriors of the video store age, do not let the legend fade. Go forth. Introduce these movies to a new generation. Show them the magic of a real stunt. Explain the profound wisdom of wax on, wax off. Keep the spirit alive. Because these movies don't belong in a museum. They belong in our Blu-ray players, on our streaming queues, and most importantly, in our hearts. They still rule, they still kick butt, and they will, forever and ever, be totally, epically, righteously awesome. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go watch Bloodsport. You are next.